Hi lovely people. So this is a Galactic Mayan astrology report for the 30th of June 2019, and this is the final 13-day process of our entire 9-month spin. So we're really rounding off the cycle that we've been working with since, when did we shift? I'm unable to count backwards 9 months from now at the moment with my brain, but we are really rounding off, you know, the whole process that we've been through. And you know, I did a wonderful thinky dink today where I realised that, you know, the person who I see very, very rarely, that I was with last year when we initiated this process, I am now synchronistically going to be with again because she's offered to give me a hand moving into my new house. So it's just really seeing clearer and clearer the way that these repeating patterns work. And yeah, so we're moving into the energy of Yellow Star. So last Wavespell, you know, we were really looking at and witnessing the bigger picture of our lives with the eagle energy, and now we shift into the final of the processes. So we go through 20 of these different 13-day processes during the time that we're moving through this 9-month cycle. And the process that we're entering into, as I say, is the energy of Yellow Star. So Yellow Star is all about being the star that we are. It's about really allowing ourselves to be seen. It's really allowing ourselves to be imperfect and to know that that is exactly as it should be. So when we're working with this energy, we're going to be tying up the themes that we were initiating 9 months ago. So we're going to really be tying up the learning. So it's a really wonderful time, as is always the case, to reflect, to look backward in order to get a grip on the reality in the present. Because, you know, we're constantly creating what we're creating. You know, what we're experiencing in our lives is a result of what we are beaming out, you know, as the magnet that we are, on a conscious level, but most of the time on a subconscious level. And the more that we've got lurking in our subconscious, the more that we bring the situations to us that support us to see what is going on within our subconscious. So when it comes to the energy of Yellow Star, as I say, it's about being seen. So that means that there can be quite a shy energy within this process, but on the flip side of it, there can be quite an arrogance also. So there's this real like duality in, you know, what it means for us to be seen as a human being, for us to show up. You know, there's a really beautiful energy within this wave spell of being able to really shine. You know, but also we may meet the elements of ourselves and our experience where we don't feel like we can shine. And it's funny because, you know, for each person that can seemingly be incredibly confident and self-assured and comfortable within themselves, put them into a situation that you might feel comfortable in and they won't. You know, so the other thing with this energy is really seeing the places that we feel comfortable, the places that we don't. You know, what is it? This is the theme of the wave spell. What is it that stops us from being able to shine? What is it that means that we overcompensate to give the illusion that we're shining? You know, when deep down we don't really feel like we are. And what is it that triggers us, that takes us into that part that doesn't feel able to shine? You know, what is it? Was it something, you know, it's always something that's kind of gone on for us before, but what is the emotion? What is the experience? What is the trigger that makes you go, I want to be internal, I don't want to see anyone, I don't want to speak to anyone, I feel really shaken? And on the other side of that, what is it that makes you go like, oh, I can really relax into myself. I feel like I'm so comfortable. I can allow myself to be seen. I can communicate from the heart. You know, really getting clear about what it is that really permits us to be the star that we are, but also that really restricts us from being the star that we are. And, you know, it's not about just being able to go into the places where the conditions are right for our conditioning, you know, that mean that we can be the star that we are. It's about being able to recognise, okay, so where is it? What is it that needs to be let go of in order to then be able to be the star that we are wherever we are. And you know, that really comes from cultivating that knowledge of self and knowledge of self-worth and integration of self-worth, you know. And again, you know, we drop deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in or out of this at different times. But as we really allow ourselves to cultivate that relationship with ourselves from a very grounded space, as opposed to the identity that we've created for ourselves, and we really allow ourselves to love ourselves for who we are, not who we appear to be, or not for what we've achieved. On the flip side of that, when we let go of slating ourselves for who we're not, when we let go of slating ourselves for what we haven't achieved, and we can really allow ourselves to be our authentic selves, that is this whole human being process. You know, it's no coincidence that the final 13-day process of the 9-month human being experience, which is what this whole thing is about the star. It's about us being who we are. You know, it's about us being seen and being able to shine and being able to be authentic. So it's no coincidence that everything leads us up to this point of, right, can you be seen? Do you feel safe enough to be seen? What do you need to let go of in order to be safe enough to be seen? And we're riddled with insecurity, you know, we're programmed with insecurity. The world that we are inhabiting as, you know, westernized people, which is pretty much taking over the planet, you know, it's kind of where the human being consciousness is, because it's kind of difficult to escape the conditioning now with technology. We're really in that space of nothing's good enough, you know, nothing that we are is good enough. You know, there's this thing of like having to be, do, say, whatever in order to be accepted. You know, and things like social media really support us to compete with one another, to look at the other and say, I'm not like that, and therefore that means whatever. But the reality is that we are not like that, because we're not meant to be. Because each individual face, one of my beautiful teachers says, how does it go now? There isn't another face on the face of the earth like yours. You know, there's literally, even with identical twins, man, like there's no two people that are the same. How crazy is that? Considering that like the construct of a face, as a general rule, is like 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, 2 ears. How can there be that many variations on that? But there is. And it's the same with all elements of our being. You know, we are all individual. We are all inhabiting a slightly different version of the human being vessel and story. And the yellow star process is really giving us the opportunity to see ourselves, to know ourselves, and to be ourselves. And that often means, you know, through going through these experiences where we pretend to be something that we're not. And that's completely understandable. You know, we have to pretend a lot of the time for lots of different reasons. That's what we've been taught to do in order to survive. But we're moving out of a space of survival now. And, you know, the way that this energy works is that we've got cycles on top of cycles on top of cycles. So we've got this 9-month cycle, which is the human being cycle. We've then got the planetary year cycle, which is 365 days. And that correlates within this framework with the rising of Sirius, which happens on the 26th of July. So we've got the 9-month cycle that's completing at the end of this 13-day process. And then we'll begin a new cycle. And that continues. But then toward the end of July is when we shift into a new 13-year cycle, yeah? So we've got these parallel things that are slightly different, you know? It's like this, it's like just for now, they seemingly are moving in the same, and they're going to come out of sync again, yeah? Because obviously one cycle is bigger than the smaller cycle, but for this point here and now, we are cycling in a very, very similar space, yeah? So there's a really, really big energy of beginnings and endings at the moment. You know, we're really, really pulling the learning from the past 13 years of integration process. The red moon energy has all been about integration, purification, cleaning out. So this wave spell, in alignment with the end of that big cycle, and I know that I say it all the time, but it's really important for us to take stock of where we are, because we are constantly fighting with a shitload of conditioning that tells us to hate ourselves, to disapprove of ourselves, to not recognise the amazing people that we are, to not recognise, you know, the processes that we have been through individually and collectively. You know, this idea that the world's still fucked, this idea that we're all making a fucking mess, this idea that everyone's, you know, doing whatever, blah, 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 this fucking horrendous story, this narrative that is painted everywhere that goes deep into us. But for us to take stock of ourselves and to recognise, wow, that's where I was and this is where I am. And even if I've got this much more awareness of myself than I did then, I've got this much more awareness of myself. Even if I'm kinder to myself and to other people that much more than I was then, I'm that much kinder. And it's really that, like, teeny tiny baby steps. And to recognise as well, okay, so what am I trying to measure up to? What is it? You know, what standards of beauty am I trying to measure up to? Where did they come from? Who says that beauty has to be this? If it's about success, where did that come from? Is it truth? You know, so being the star that we are is generally a very unconventional thing, because no two stars are the same, no two human beings are the same. So to measure us all of these standards that have been imprinted upon us is bonkers, isn't it? Doesn't make any sense. Does not make any sense. But it's easier said than done to step out of that. So the yellow star process really takes us into that space of seeing where we allow ourselves to shine and where we run away. And, you know, I've been really, really listening to and connecting with Brené Brown a lot recently, because, you know, my process, and this is one of the reasons that I've been like, oh, I don't want to do the videos anymore. And I don't know what's going to happen with that. You know, maybe I am going to continue doing them because I feel really inspired to. Maybe I'm not. I'm going to let that ride. But I've really wanted to just ground a bit more, as opposed to everything being super galactic and dimensional and da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, I totally get and experience the cyclical reality. There is no two doubts about that in my mind through my own experience. But I'm also a human. We are also human beings. And Brené Brown is a super connected human being to her heart. She isn't talking about dimensional travel. She isn't speaking light language. She isn't doing all this really far out, can I be weird and weirder than you stuff. She's just being herself. And she's talking about how all we need to do is show up with our hearts. You know, and the times that we don't, so what? So what? We stand up and we continue and we keep moving forward and we keep opening ourselves. And this is the thing, you know, it's like, I've had so much learning over the past few years about love, you know, this romance story, and a lot of sadness about all of that stuff. A lot of burns about all of that stuff. And do you know what? I have not manifested the relationship that I want to be in. That has not come my way, and it doesn't, you know, no matter what has been going on recently, it doesn't feel like that is going to be the case, you know, for now, for whatever, yeah? But I don't want to search for that anymore. But all of the learning from the past few years with all of the different interactions that I've been having, I have developed an ability to be fucking vulnerable. To be able to open my heart, you know, to be able to step forward and risk being really hurt. And that's bravery. That is bravery, you know. And when it comes to this yellow star process, this final process of the 13 years part of the story that we're currently wrapping up, the last star process in that entire 13-year process, you know, we're really, really given the opportunity to be like, soft with ourselves, and to see, you know, it's about being soft. It's not about having to shine to prove anything. It's about being comfortable. It's about feeling safe. And that's when people glow, when they feel comfy. Not when they've got bloody £10 million in the bank. They might glow in a different way then. You know, it's really this energy of like, this is just me. So really give yourself the opportunity to do whatever it is that is you, you know, and whether that is something from your childhood, whether that's something that you were always scared to do, whether it's about facing that thing that you're just really scared to face, whether it's about having that conversation, whether it's about telling that person that you really like them, whether it's about ending that relationship, you know, whatever it is, you know, this yellow star wave spell process is about us being ourselves. And it's about us accepting ourselves and accepting that, you know, maybe that thing isn't for us. If there's an ability that we don't feel like we can develop, maybe that's not for us. And that's all right, because we're not all meant to be the same. But what we are meant to do is be ourselves. So this wave spell is about permission. It's about permission to be seen, and that comes from you. And it's okay if you shrivel, I shrivel, we all shrivel, put us in different situations. But then try and open that up, you know. Why is it that I shrivel within that? What is it that makes me forget who I am? What is it that I'm being like conditioned into here? What is it within me that is conditioned, that's been revealed in this situation? And how can I let that go? And the more and more that we do that, the more and more that we open, and the more and more that we connect. So the next wave spell is going to be the first. It's going to be the birth wave spell. And I will be doing videos on definitely until the end of July. So I'll be sharing something about that. But know also, you know, that yes, we are working with this energy of the yellow star and the being seen and the being held, holding ourselves and allowing ourselves to open. But we're also wrapping up the past 9 month cycle. Yeah, so we're really going to be integrating, and that's another thing to take note of as well. It's like, as a result of the 9 months that we've been through, the relationships that have come in, the relationships that have gone out, the experiences that we've had, the incredibly fearful, triggering experiences that we've had, the I'm on top of the world and I feel like anything is possible experiences that we've had, all of those, of which this 9 months has been a potent fucking cycle of, is now being integrated into this yellow star. You know, it's like, whoa, all of that has brought me here, and here is well shiny. Even if there's that little bit there that's still not super shiny, that bit's shiny, and that bit that's not super shiny just needs to be loved. And then it glows, and then it becomes beautiful. You know what? Do you know what I think the most beautiful people in the world are? When people have been crying. You know, when everyone's like proper snotty and puffy-eyed and like just covered in that, for me, that raw, vulnerable is beauty, you know, and that's not conventional beauty. So I hope that you have a wonderful final wave spell of this 9 months. I hope that you enjoy really opening to this yellow star energy, opening to who you are and letting yourself be seen, and giving yourself permission to be who you are, you know, and we don't need to compete. We can let go of the conditioning that tells us that we need to compete. So we can really establish those connections, you know, that we're just on a par. No one's better than anyone else. No one's worse than anyone else. We're all in process and it's all good. Sending you loads and loads of love, and I will see you next time.